Avengers Endgame is an upcoming Marvel event movie that is trying to use all of the characters that they built up over the past, I think, 20 years to tell an all encompassing story, that will hopefully wow audiences with the story and visuals. Either that or they make a cameo filled movie that is used as a vehicle to sell toys. And based on the trailer, I think it might be the second one. That is, it's a vehicle that's being used to sell toys. Um, I don't really watch trailers for things that I know that I'm gonna watch. Like, if I never saw the trailer for the new Spider-Man movie, I I watched it in theaters. If I never saw that trailer, I wouldn't have known that Scorpion was gonna be in it. And I don't really know who or what is going to be important in Avengers Doomsday, but this is Avengers Doomsday. Whether you intend to or not, you're probably going to see it. And I thought it would be helpful if you kind of know what you missed out on. Back in the day, there was this video by a YouTuber named Something Else YT, and what he did was he summarized all the Marvel movies from Iron Man to, I think, Thor Ragnarok for Avengers Infinity War. And he even made a second video where he summarized the movies that released in between Endgame and Infinity War. And, with all these movies before Infinity War, it felt like that. It felt like, even though they weren't connected, like they weren't interconnected, it felt like it was all building towards something big. And I really don't see a lot of connection. I mean, there's some connection, but I don't really see a lot of connection between the movies that have been released right now. I mean, my friends feel like, my friends have told me that this movie feels unearned. Like, I'd rather go and watch Dune 3. Let's be real, you're gonna watch Avengers Doomsday. So, I thought I'd make this video so you could like pick out the movies that you didn't watch and like get a better grasp on them. So, a lot of people dropped watching Marvel stuff pretty quickly during when Disney Plus launched. And I myself have watched pretty much every movie, every Disney Plus show. I've watched pretty much most of the Netflix shows. I've watched every special. I've watched the animations. I've even started to get into the comics. And what I really wanted to tell you today, after all that knowledge, is do you need to watch the Agatha Harkness show to be able to watch Avengers Doomsday? No, you do not need to watch that. I don't think that's important. So there's a lot of movies, there's a lot of shows, and I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible. I want to briefly go over every movie. I want to go over the characters, uh, you know, uh, the characters that are introduced in the movies and like what they're about and what their motivations are. And for each of these movies, I want to give like a flag tier system on whether you should rewatch it or not. If a movie gets a green flag, you should 100% rewatch it or watch it for the first time. If it's yellow, maybe you can skip it. If you're interested, you could watch it. And red, you probably don't need to watch it. So there's three flags, and you're gonna notice a lot of yellow and red flags. So I'm gonna try to appeal to the lowest common denominator, as in the people who've only watched Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War. I know there's a lot of people that only watched Endgame. The people that watch the Spider-Man movies, the MCU Spider-Man movies, and I also decided to include Black Panther because I think a lot of people did watch Black Panther. I also think that the Fox X-Men movies are gonna be important for Doomsday. Um, I'm not gonna recap those movies. You can watch another recap somewhere else. Um, but I mean, these are all like popcorn movies. They don't. You can like easily watch them and throw them away, except for like Logan and Days of Future Past, which are like actually really good movies. In order of importance, it's the X Men trilogy, the original one, X 1, 2, and 3. The Wolverine trilogy, which is X Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, and Logan. You have X Men Day, First Class, and X Men Days of Future Past. And finally, you have the Deadpool trilogy. I'm choosing not to include the Sony Extended Cinematic Universe in the summary because I think those movies are bad. There's a chance we might see Venom in it, in Doomsday, but these movies are really bad, not worth your time at all. And Venom is, I don't think you need to watch all these movies to understand Venom as a character. He's just there for comedic relief most of the time. I do think some of the legacy Marvel movies, the ones made like before MCU, like Ang Lee Hulk, the bad Daredevil movie, the bad Ghost Rider movies, Elektra, the bad Fantastic Four movies, Blade. I think those may or may not be important for Doomsday. Yeah, the Spider-Man movies, the Punisher movies. I think even if they include these characters as cameos in the movie, I think they're just gonna assume that no one remembers who these guys are except for Spider-Man. I do think Doomsday and Secret Invasion are heavily riding off of nostalgia. That's why they casted Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. It's not a casting I agree with, but I get why they did it. So I'm gonna get started on these movies now. Obviously, major spoiler warning. Be warned, I think, every movie from Spider-Man Far From Home to Punisher One Last Kill will be probably be spoiled in this. Not all of them, but you know, whatever. The first movie in the list is Spider-Man Far From Home. It came pretty quickly after Endgame, and it's not everyone's seen this movie. It's non-essential. Peter's still mourning the death of his supposed mentor, Tony Stark. I don't think he was a good mentor figure, but anyway, he's mourning the loss, and he wants to take a break from being Spider-Man, and he wants to take a vacation um, as Peter Parker with his friends on a school trip in Europe. And well, what happens is Nick Fury is in Europe. He kind of kidnaps Peter Parker, and he introduces him to this guy called Mysterio, Quentin Beck, and Mysterio tells him that there's these creatures that attacked and destroyed my home world, and now they're gonna come from my dimension into yours, and we need to stop them before they cause too much destruction. And then Spider-Man's like, am I the only guy you found for this? And they're like, yeah, you're the only one available. So, they kind of take out some monsters appearing in Europe. The thing is, uh, later on, they find out that Quentin Beck is actually just a regular dude from our place. He's a scientist that worked for Stark Industries, and he made this really cool illusion technology, and that gives him the illusion of being Mysterio. He's able to conjure up these lifelike creatures using the technology that can actually hurt people because they have like bullets. Uh, it's capable of using weaponry. So, Peter Parker finds out about this. Mysterio goes to London and he wants to create an Avengers level threat and save the world from Avengers level threat. And Spider Man gets involved. He takes out Mysterio, destroys the drones, and a few things happen at the end of the movie. So, Spider Man defeats Mysterio using his new spider sense that he was working on in this movie. It's called the Peter Tingle. It's revealed uh, Mysterio dies by catching a stray bullet. It's revealed that director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury and Special Agent Maria Hill were actually Skrulls, and the Skrulls are an alien shape shifting is a race of alien shape shifting humanoids, and the real Nick Fury apparently was in space working on something called Sword. Don't worry about Sword; it's not really important. He's just been gone for a long time. Peter Parker and MJ start a romantic relationship at the end of this movie, and I don't know. I think the relationship was rushed. I don't think it was organic at all. And then Mysterio makes at the post credit. Mysterio makes and releases a video, and in that video, he's like, everyone thinks Mysterio's a hero, so he's like, Spider-Man is the one that kills me, and the real Nate and Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker, and then everyone knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Overall, it's a pretty good movie. I give it a green flag just because it's a Spider-Man movie, but in reality, I give it a yellow flag. It's pretty non-essential. You probably already know what happens. Um, yeah, so after Spider-Man released, there was a big gap for like Marvel releases in general because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They couldn't shoot any movies, but they had some shows ready, and they were wanted to launch their new Disney Plus um, streaming service. So that's what they did. People were really hungry for Marvel stuff in general, I think. So, the first of these shows that got released was WandaVision. And well, what happens in WandaVision is so Wanda is like really upset about the death of Vision, her robot boyfriend, and she's unable to cope. So she goes to this town in New Jersey. It's called Westview, and what she does is that she creates like a bubble around the town, and all the people inside the town are mind controlled. But from outside, it looks like the town was just suddenly abandoned. So all the people in the town are being mind controlled, and she makes them act like side characters in the TV shows that she used to watch with Vision. It's like the whole show it's like an old TV show, and she creates a scarily realistic illusion of Vision, and like they kind of like live together, and as husband and wife, they have kids, Billy and Tommy Maximoff, and they're aging surprisingly quick. And what Wanda doesn't realize is that there's another witch in this town named Agatha Harkness, and Agatha takes advantage of this situation that she's made. Uh, and she kind of like gains the upper hand to try and take Wanda's power for herself. And they end up fighting. Agatha loses, and I'm not gonna go into what happens to Agatha at the end. Also, Shield is there, and they're investigating the town. And one of the agents, Monica Rambeau, manages to get inside the town, and she kind of convinces Wanda to like let go of the people that she's being kept under control. At the end of the show, yeah, she obviously she agrees to let go of the people, and then since Vision and Billy and Tommy are illusions, they fade away, and the show ends with Wanda somewhere far away reading this black colored book. It's called The Darkhold. And I'll get into that stuff later. This show is also the introduction of Proton, Monica Rambeau, who is the daughter of Maria Rambeau from Captain Marvel. If I don't think anyone remembers that character, but yeah. Uh, Green flag on the rewatch list. I think Wanda may or may not be important for Doomsday. I think they're trying to bring back as many people as possible. So yeah, green flag. Uh, the next the next show is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't really remember what happens in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so I'm just gonna go over the broad strokes. So Sam Wilson and Bucky, they kind of like accepted that yeah, Cap's not here with us anymore, and they donate the shield to a museum, and they're like coming to terms with it. Bucky especially is coming to terms, trying to live with the fact that yeah, he killed people as the Winter Soldier under Hydra, but he's like moving on from that stuff now, and the Winter Soldier is not Bucky. Uh, and like they make the U.S. government promise, just keep the shield where it is. Uh, there's not going to be another Captain America. I'm not going to be Captain America, as in Sam Wilson or Bucky is not going to be Captain America. But what the U.S. government does is that they take this army guy. His name is John Walker, the U.S. agent. Um, and they make him Captain America, the fake Captain America, who is set up to be the new real Captain America. And he initially he's like, look, I know I'm not Captain America, but this is the position I'm in. I'm just trying to do the best I can. They work with him, but then he gets like high and mighty, and he falls. He fails, and he makes some big mistakes, and he is forced to put down the shield at the end. There's also a group called the Flag Smashers. I don't remember what they do, so they're probably not important. Baron Zemo from Civil War is in this. He's probably the best part about this show. And basically at the end, Sam Wilson takes the mantle of Captain America, and he becomes the new Captain America. Uh, this show also sees the introduction of an important character, maybe not for Doomsday, but for Marvel in general. Valentina de Fontaine. Um, she goes around different shows recruiting characters for a team that she's making. And she goes to John Walker and is like, hey, do you want to join my team? And he's like, okay, fine. Yeah, yellow on the rewatch scale. I think that anything that you want to get out of these characters, you can get from future movies, and it's just easier to watch the movie than to watch the show. Uh, I mean, a lot of these shows feel like a long movie that's been cut up into 6 episodes. So, the next one is Loki. Now, I did say that a lot of these shows feel like movies cut up into episodes, but Loki was actually one of the really good TV shows that Marvel made under the Disney Plus banner, and it it got greenlighted for a second season, and it was really good. And I would be doing an injustice to try and summarize it for you here. And I think some parts of it will be important, but I'm not gonna summarize this for you guys. I'm just you can watch the show. But if you really would like to know like what happens at the end, major spoilers as you already know. But Loki, a variant of Loki, becomes like the ruler of all time. He monitors the flow of time between different universes. He makes sure universes don't tangle up. He unties universes that do get tangled up. Previously, before Loki became the ruler of time, when universes, when there'd be like a problem with the universe, there was an organization called the TVA, and they would just wipe out the universe. And when Loki came in, he had to fight, like he had to do a bunch of stuff, but now he's like the ruler of all time. I'm not explaining this show properly, but just watch it. Green Flag, because I think it's pretty important. There is one thing. Loki was the introduction of Kang, and Kang before Doom was supposed to be the big bad of Marvel. This saga before Jonathan Majors, he did some weird stuff. I think he beat his girlfriend or something publicly, and Marvel was didn't really want to work with him anymore. He was in both seasons of Loki, and he was in an Ant-Man movie. And the Kangs, so there's multiple Kangs. It's not just one, but the Kangs they used in Loki season 2, which is the last time we saw him, they had their stories like wrapped up pretty well. So they just didn't feel like they needed to use the character, and they kind of moved on. Obviously, now we have Doctor Doom instead of Kang the Conqueror, so he's just another wasted character. There's a lot of characters that are wasted um, in the MCU right now. Uh, so yeah, the next movie we have is Black Widow. It's the first major motion picture of the new Disney Plus era. I don't think it was even released in theaters properly. They kind of released it in select theaters worldwide, and then they let you pay extra on your Disney Plus subscription to watch it, like as a movie in your house, because I think the pandemic was like still going on. It's a prequel movie. It takes place after Civil War, before Infinity War, and it like it's supposed to be like a solo movie for Black Widow, like because she never got one. It introduces, because we all know she dies at the end of Infinity Endgame, so they introduce the White Widow, Yelena Belova, who's like her sister, and her father figure Alexei, the Red Guardian. So basically, it shows the story of them as kids, training in the Red Room, and it's the Red Room's not a great place. It's very dark. It's very abusive. A lot of their students died, but then the ones that survived became Black Widows, and by the end of the movie, Yelena and Natasha, they destroy the Red Room, and they set the remaining Black Widows free from the control of the Red Room organization. And then Natasha goes to Avengers Infinity War. It's a red flag on the rewatch scale for Doomsday. But Yelena's pretty cool. You can like watch her in the other every other time. Even in this movie, she's good. Every time she's appeared in a Marvel anything, Yelena is like pretty fun to watch. And also, she is recruited by Miss Valentina De Fontaine at the end of the movie. So yeah, there's another victim for her. Uh, the next show that we have is What If. What If is an animated Marvel project, and I wasn't going to include any of the animated shows in this summary because none of them are important for Doomsday. They're not even canon to Marvel itself. It's just a side material for you to watch. Marvel Animations has some good stuff. They have What If, Marvel Zombies. They have X-Men 97. They have Spider-Man Freshman Year. They have Eyes of Wakanda. And, most of these are good. What If isn't good. It originally started as like what if scenarios to the MCU, but 3 seasons in and the writing just became worse and worse. It was too reliant on the MCU, and it was reliant to a fault. A lot of the stories just ended up becoming bad because of that, and it's the worst example of Marvel writing. So yeah, it's a red flag. Skip it. It's not very good. Um, Captain Carter is an important character across all three seasons. She appeared. It's not the same Captain Carter, but she did appear as a variant Captain Britain in Doctor Strange too. And if you do want to watch something Marvel animation that's recent, you can watch X-Men 97. It's like please, please, please watch X-Men 97 because it's really good. Um, yeah, so the next movie we have is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Please forgive my pronunciation. I can't get it right. So, with the title like this, you'd think there'd be more legends or movies that were made with this character. Shang-Chi came out in 2021. It's been 5 years, and this character hasn't appeared in anything Marvel related at all. And it's a shame because this movie was a great action movie, and it was like actually good. Um, Unfortunately, it had Aquafina in it, but whatever. So basically, there's this ancient terrorist organization called the Ten Rings, and they're ruled by someone named Wen Wu. And Wen Wu is the leader of the Ten Rings. He is the bearer of the weapons called the Ten Rings, which basically grant him uh, immense power and immortality. And he's like going around China trying to, I think not just China, but it's focused around China. He goes around conquering everything. His next destination is this village called Ta Lo, which has like a lot of like uh this ancient form of martial arts. And he meets this woman named Ying Li, and they fall in love. They have kids, Shang-Chi and his sister Xialing. And then Ying Li dies in like a gang conflict because of Ten Rings. And then Wen Wu becomes like um, uh, I don't know what's the word for it. He becomes a gang leader again. He teaches Shang-Chi martial arts, but he realizes that he doesn't want to follow in his father's footsteps, so he runs away from home. He lives in San Francisco, living paycheck to paycheck. Before Ying Li dies, she gave both of her children these green pendants, and they were supposed to help them find their way back to Talo if something ever went wrong. Anyway, Sean, his English name, and Katie are in the U.S. and they're gonna go to work. They just hang out. They live they live they live normal lives and stuff. And then members of the Ten Ring come and attack them, and they steal the green pendant. And Sean immediately knows what's up. These guys are obviously here because my father told them to get me. Um, so he worries for his sister's life, uh, and he goes to Macau, I think, with Katie. Katie's like a normal person; she doesn't know how to fight or anything. And Sean's been hiding his martial arts skill. He only had to show them off because those guys attacked them. So they both go to Macau. They meet Jialing, who's the leader of a fight club, underground fight club that makes a ton of money in Macau, and they get attacked by the Ten Rings. Um, Wen Wu appears and he's like, "You're coming with me now," and he takes them and the green pendant, and he tells them like their plan. His plan, he wants to go back to Talo because something is calling him in Talo uh, uh, to free that thing. It's being like locked up in Talo, and that's bad obviously because they're gonna destroy. He's gonna destroy his mother's village. Um so they go and they have a big fight with Wenwu, and Wenwu actually manages to free the thing that was calling him. It was the Ten Rings, basically, that the Ten Rings that he was bearing uh, is like a mark of, is like a property of some kind of like uh, destroyer race or something. The Dweller in the Darkness is that race, and basically it was calling Wenwu, and then by the when it's too late, he realizes his mistake. So he sacrifices himself and gives the ten rings to Sean. And so Sean is the new bearer of the Ten Rings, and he manages to seal the Dweller in the Darkness permanently. Um, yeah, that's it. That is Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. I do think it's a green flag movie, though, even though this character hasn't come back. Uh, because I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be. I think I've seen him in the Comic Con for Avengers Doomsday. I saw him. I saw Ryan Reynolds. I seen. I think they're doing a new Black Panther. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm getting off topic. Yeah. So the next movie that we have here is Eternals, and how am I gonna summarize Eternals? I don't know. There's like there's like 10 different characters, like 10 different protagonists. There's like two different groups of villains, and there's it's a very messy movie. It's also not a very good movie. I liked it, but I mean, it didn't review very highly with the audience. Uh, the events of the end of the movie are pretty important for the MCU. I'm gonna cover them in a different movie. Uh, I'm too lazy to actually summarize this, I'm just going to read a little plot synopsis. After centuries of hiding, an immortal group of heroes known as the Eternals are called to action. They must reunite to defend humanity from their ancient adversaries, which are the Deviants. They threaten the survival of the Earth. As they confront this formidable foe, the Eternals also grapple with the mysteries of their origins and a devastating loss that compels them to reveal themselves. That's not a very good summary, but I don't think these guys are important for the MCU at all, so it doesn't really matter anyways. Red flag, honestly. So the next show that we have is Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a Christmas special TV show. Once again, it's like a 6 episode kind of ordeal, and it shows Hawkeye, grieving the loss of Natasha. How he's like now he's a retired Avenger. He gets to spend a lot more time with his actual family, and the show ends with him like having to explain Yelena that Yelena believes that Hawkeye is the one that killed Natasha, but actually it wasn't him. It was it like she sacrificed herself to get the Soul Stone, right? It also establishes Kate Bishop as a new Hawkeye. This plot point goes nowhere. Kate Bishop, along with a bunch of other characters, were probably supposed to set up for a Young Avengers or a West Coast Avengers. I like West Coast Avengers, the comic, because Gwenpool was in it, so yeah. This show also establishes one very key thing. It has Wilson Fisk. This is the first time that a Netflix a character from a Netflix show, and especially one as major as Wilson Fisk, appears in the MCU proper, and it's the first time we get actual confirmation that the Netflix shows are canon to the MCU proper. So, TV shows like Daredevil, you have Jessica Jones, Punisher, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, these are all canon. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually happen, it's not some alternate reality kind of thing. It never was. It was always written with the MCU in mind, while the other ones are written a little more loosely. It's also revealed that Kingpin has an adopted daughter. I forgot her name, but you might know her as Echo. She was the daughter of a rival gang father who Kingpin killed, and Kingpin raises Echo as her own daughter, but she ends up shooting him in the head. Is this the end for Wilson Fisk? Obviously not. He comes back. Kate Bishop may or may not make another appearance, but honestly, it's a yellow flag. You can skip it if you want. The next movie is Spider-Man: No Way Home. Do I even need to summarize No Way Home? It was after the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2 years. I think this movie came out in 2022, and people wanted to like be happy about. I mean, at least I wanted to be happy about something. So this movie came at a really good time. I was in the theater. I was like cheering, and you had Spider-Man against all the Spider-Man villains from like previous movies, and then you had he was able to take the help of the other Spider-Man, and they get to do this kind of story in a way that doesn't feel like forced. Like they've still managed to tell a good Spider-Man story, even though there's like a bunch of cameos, which I think is the strongest part about this movie. It's hard to rewatch now because there's like these dramatic sitcom like pauses where they're giving the audience time to cheer, and you're not doing that at home because you already know like all the cameos and stuff. But yeah, that's Spider-Man. This movie does kill off Aunt May. It serves as the ending of the Homecoming trilogy and makes Peter like a more independent superhero. It's a green flag on the rewatch scale. I think all the Spider-Man movies you should watch, even though I put Far From Home as like a yellow flag. It explains the multi. It's uh, Spider-Man in this movie prevents like a pretty big incursion event from happening. I'll explain what an incursion event is later. Um, yeah, at the ending of the movie, because Mysterio reveals his true identity. Uh, to prevent the incursion event, he asked Doctor Strange to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider Man. And he's able to do this, and it prevents the incursion event from actually happening. So, yeah. So, no one knows who Peter Parker is. His friends don't know that who Peter Parker is, or the fact that he's Spider Man. And yeah, he's basically like a blank slate now. Not a blank slate, because obviously they're bringing back Ned and MJ in the next movie, Brand New Day. Yeah, that is Spider-Man. Then the next TV show that we have is Moon Knight, and Moon Knight's it's Moon Knight was really good. It's another one of those, like, I think it's another one of those movies cut into episodes kind of thing. I mean, I don't think Oscar Isaac really wants to come back and play Moon Knight again. Anyone would come back if they're given the right amount of money. I'll just do my best to summarize the events. So basically, there's this mercenary named Mark Spector, and he's basically on the verge of death. And Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon, uh, basically is like, uh, hey, here's this opportunity from you. You can get all these powers and come back to life. You just have to be the protector of those that travel the night. And he agrees, so Khonshu makes him rise as his Moon Knight. The way these Egyptian gods work in the MCU is that to prevent them from letting their powers run unchecked, they give a subset of their powers to mortals and make them act as their champions. Um, so that way they don't have too much power in their own hands, and they still get to kind of like act in the real world. Um, the only problem with giving Mark Spector the powers of Moon Knight is that he has split personality disorder, and his alter ego is Stephen Grant. He's like a normal dude. He's obviously very affected by the split personality more than Mark Spector is affected. Each personality has their own life, their own behavior patterns, um, and their own Moon Knight costume. I mean, Steven doesn't even know that he has the condition, while Mark actually knows that has the split personality. Um, and both sides get to find out it. Steven gets to find out about the Mark's mercenary life and everything, and they both work together to stop the Greek god Amet from committing genocide against a lot of its population. Um, yeah, that is Moon Knight. It's in the end credit scene. It's revealed that Moon Knight actually has a third alter ego named Jake Lockley, who I think is pretty psychotic. Moon Knight, probably yellow flag on the rewatch scale. It's pretty good, but you're fine skipping it. The next movie is Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. And this movie got a lot of hate. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I get why. I think it's because like Doctor Strange basically makes the same mistake in every time he appears. He's arrogant in Doctor Strange. He's kind of normal in Avengers. He's arrogant in Spider-Man No Way Home, and I think he makes some arrogant decisions in this one. If not him, then the variants of him that are introduced in this movie. So, it's also a follow up to WandaVision. So, after Wanda loses her kids, she kind of misses them. She studies the Darkhold. She gets these crazy powers, and basically, what she wants to do is that she wants to go into another universe, uh, and basically steal Billy and Tommy from another universe and raise them as her own kids. It's messed up, but for this, she needs the powers of one America Chavez, and America Chavez has the special powers of basically being able to punch open portals like this, and open up a portal into like another universe, and like that's her power. And she right now, America Chavez is with a Doctor Strange in a different universe, and she's being chased by something. I forgot what it is, but the thing kills Stephen Strange, and she manages to send herself and Stephen's body into the MCU proper, and she goes to the Stephen of this universe, and she tells him what's up, what's happening, and then they're visited by Wanda, and she's like, and then sorry, Strange sees the witchcraft marks on Stephen Strange from the other universe's body, and it's like, oh, this is Wanda. And then he goes to visit Wanda, and she's like, you better give me America Chavez at Kamartaj, the place where you can practice mystic arts. You better give it peacefully, or I'm gonna kill everyone there. And and they're like, and he's like, okay, we'll give her peacefully. But then they prepare for battle. They lose pretty horribly. America opens up a portal to another universe, and they go. I'm going through this really quickly because there's no need to explain all this. But they learn about incursion events. They come back. They fight. All the characters grow stronger through whatever, and they go back and fight Wanda. They tell her that you can't do this. You're not allowed to do that. You can't kidnap children from a different universe and take them away from their mom. And she's like, oh, I shouldn't actually do that. So, uh, anyways, at the end of the movie, Wanda dies, and America Chavez kind of reveals that in any universe, there's no copy of her. She is the only America Chavez ever in any universe. So yeah, I do think green. I think there's a green flag. I think Doctor Strange, obviously, very important character, and Wanda. I think she's coming back. I don't think she's dead forever. Uh, yeah, I don't think she's dead. The next show is Miss Marvel, and we don't need to look into Miss Marvel. We don't need to do a deep dive into Miss Marvel because at the end of the day, it's just it's a kids show that takes place in the MCU. It actually went to TV. It was one of it went to TV. Like you could watch it on TV, not just on Disney Plus or whatever. Um, Basically, it revolves around the kid with semi strict parents, and she's living in Jersey City, and she gets this bangle as a gift from her grandmother, and the bangle gives her powers, and she's like, I want to use these powers to help out my community and protect us from bad guys and whatever, to be a superhero, like her favorite superhero, Captain Marvel. I don't get what her love is with out the MCU's Captain Marvel, because she only appeared once in Avengers Endgame. I mean, I guess she did help save the world, but it's like being obsessed over Valkyrie. There's Valkyrie from Thor. It's like I don't think many people have seen her enough for her to seen Captain Marvel enough for her to develop a fan base, but whatever. She likes Captain Marvel a lot. She bases her suit design around it. And at the end of the show, it's kind of revealed that the powers that she has is not from the bangle that she wears. It's actually due to a genetic aberration in her DNA, and the bangle kind of just triggered it. That makes her the MCU's first mutant from like the X-Men. Obviously, X-Men don't exist, but she's the MCU's first mutant. You probably didn't know this, but for a while, Marvel stopped producing X-Men comics because they didn't want to like promote the Fox X-Men movies. They didn't even put any X-Men characters in Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, the game series known for having X-Men characters fight each other. Uh, because they didn't want to promote Dark Phoenix and Logan and Deadpool 2. Actually, not Logan, Deadpool 2. They started making more Inhumans comic books, and Miss Marvel in the comics is an Inhuman, but the original idea was for her to be an X-Men, for her to be a mutant. So with the show, it's like full circle. You know, Kamala Khan is still figuring out her powers, and in the the post-credit scene, she's in her room chilling out, and she sneezes, and she turns into Captain Marvel. It's explained in the Marvels movie. I'm not going to go into that movie, but it's explained better there. I can't decide if I should give this show a yellow or red card because I really don't know if they're going to use Miss Marvel. Uh, watch it if you want. That's all I'll say. The next movie is we have some back to back stinkers. I think we just have some really bad stuff back to back. I don't like talking about these really bad shows and movies. The next movie is Thor: Love and Thunder. You know, I see the first three Thor movies and I'm like, well, yeah, these are some really good movies. Even the second one, I forgot what happens, but I remember it. It's a good movie. But yeah, after the second one, it's clear that something had to change with the way that they did the Thor movies, and they had Taika Waititi like put his spell on it, his own spin on it. So it's basically like Thor is a god, right? Things that we would take super serious. You know, he lives forever. So maybe the thing that's serious for us would be like, oh, okay, whatever for him. So the movie is like super funny. It has a lighter tone, but you know it still does some pretty good, it still has a serious storyline and everything. Um, and you know Thor Ragnarok was a really successful movie, and you know what they probably thought was, well, we're making this movie like less serious, so that's what the audience wants. So what if we made it even more funny and even more like we didn't care about the story at all or anything, and that's what they did with Thor: Love and Thunder. So basically, in the beginning of the movie, there's this guy named Gore, Gorr, and his daughter Love, and they're walking in a desert, and they're walking in a desert, and they're trying to like get to shelter, and they're gonna try and get some food and water, and Love dies along the way, and Gore is like super sad. He makes it to an oasis, and in that oasis, there's a god. He's with like women. He's with fruits, and he has like water with him. And he's like, I prayed to you, and you didn't answer my call. And all that god did was like laugh at him, and he was about to kill Gore too. And then suddenly this sword appears. It's like, um, listen, we together we can be really cool. We can be really great. And he's like, why don't we just get revenge on these guys who don't even care about you in the first place, despite you like praying to them and stuff. And he's like, yeah, you know what? This sword is right. So together they become Gore the God Butcher. They they kill. Their goal is to kill all the gods. And then we cut to Jane Foster. Jane Foster was in the first two Thor movies. She was the love interest, and she has terminal cancer. That's unfortunate, but you know she's pretty into researching Norse mythology, especially now that in the MCU the Norse stuff is real, right? And it's like a science that can be studied. And she's like, well, you know, I think I'll go to Mjolnir and go to the broken. Sorry, I think I'll go to New Asgard and look at the broken Mjolnir. I think that might provide me some answers. I think it's better explained in that movie. But when she goes to New Asgard and Mjolnir, the broken pieces actually react to her, and something happens, and I'll explain what happened. Then we cut to Thor, and Thor is like hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, at the end of Endgame, he goes with the Guardians and makes Valkyrie the Queen of New Asgard. And you know, it's shown that he's losing weight. He's not as depressed anymore. He's still sad, but like sad in another kind of way. Uh, and you know, he gets a distress signal from Valkyrie. She's like, "You need to come home immediately. Something's up." And then you know, he comes back and he sees like dark creatures attacking New Asgard. So he like goes to fight, and then there's like another person with like lightning powers, and she's wielding a hammer. And then she takes off her mask, and it's like, it's Jane Foster. It's like, how did you, my ex, how did you become? They drifted apart between Thor 2 and Thor 4. But basically, what happened was Thor made a wish. So, you know how in in Thor 1, Odin talks to Mjolnir like this, and he's like, whosoever wields his hammer shall be, if he is worthy, shall be given the powers of Thor. And then that's what the hammer follows. And Thor basically made another wish. It's like, he's like, please, with the rest of your life, protect Jane Foster. And it's like, oh well, that hammer basically protected Jane Foster. It slowed down the process of her death. She's not immortal, but she's a little less closer to dying now. So basically, Gore announces that he's going to kill all the gods. He kidnaps all the children from New Asgard for some reason. I forgot why. So Thor, Valkyrie, Jane, Meek, and Korg go to this place called Omnipotent City, where all the gods come sometimes to hang out. And he's like, "Well, this guy's gonna come and kill you," and then no one believes him. So he steals Zeus's lightning bolt. Zeus is the head of Omnipotence City, and then they go and fight Gore, I guess. A lot of stuff happened, but basically at the end of the movie, Mjolnir is no longer able to keep Jane alive, and she dies in Thor's arms, ending up going to Valhalla. But before she dies, she reasons with Gore. So basically, what Gore wants to do is that he wants to go to this realm called Eternity, and anyone who goes to Eternity gets one wish. So he wants to go and wish for all the gods to die. So they all end up in Eternity, and Jane is like, instead of wishing for the gods to die, couldn't you just wish for your daughter to come back? Wouldn't that be better? But then there's this other thing called the curse of the Necrosword. So if you have the Necrosword for too long, you kind of go insane and you die. And he's like, well, I've reached the end of my life. Who will look after my daughter? And so she forces Thor to look after Love as his own. And yeah, towards the end of the movie, Love is basically Thor's daughter. Love and Thunder, Love and Thor, right? So Love is kind of a god herself. I don't think about it too much, and she wields Stormbreaker, and Thor gets the new Mjolnir, or the fractured Mjolnir. And I'm trying to make this movie sound a lot better than what it actually is, but it's not a good movie. They, for some reason, they let Taika just roll around in it way too much. And in the post-credit scene, and this is the reason why I brought up Zeus and Omnipotent City, they tease Hercules for the next movie. Honestly, I can't rank this one in the rewatch scale, because I think every time they write Thor into an Avengers movie, they just kind of assume that no one watched the previous Thor movie, I think. I don't know. Except for the first one, because Loki was pretty important. Alright. Yeah, one more stinker before we get to some good stuff. The next show is She-Hulk. Man. What can I say about She-Hulk? It's one of the worst shows that the MCU has produced in the Disney Plus era. I think it's worse than Iron Fist, although I didn't watch that show. And I don't think the actress even wants to come back to play She-Hulk. Uh, if I remember clearly, Hollywood was making a bunch of at this time Hollywood was making a bunch of movies where the independent, uh, strong, independent female character was just kind of mean to everyone, and She-Hulk was kind of written that way too. I didn't like this show. It's a red flag, but Daredevil was in it, and before this, Daredevil had a cameo in Spider-Man: No Way Home. But in this show, he gets a dedicated episode. I'd say that the first episode and the Daredevil episodes are the only good parts about this show. But the fact that Daredevil in the show is not very good for him, uh, because it's like Daredevil's like a realistic, like a grounded character, and She Hulk, her powers to break the fourth wall are so strong. She could literally be up. Her powers are so strong that she could literally appear behind you as you're watching this video in your room, and I don't know, whatever. But that's how strong she is. In the last episode, she literally walks up to the writer's room, the Marvel writer's room, and tells them that this show is bad. We need to like make it better or something. And then she works with Kevin Feige to like fix the ending of the show. And thankfully, Daredevil never mentions Jen Walters in in his own show. So yeah, whatever. Uh, I realize I haven't really explained Jen's powers. So basically, she's hanging out with his cousin Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and they get into a car accident, and Bruce's blood ends up mixing into Jen's bloodstream, and she becomes like the She-Hulk, right? But She-Hulk can, unlike the actual Hulk, She-Hulk doesn't like rage out. She's in control of her emotions. She she's able to transform at will. That's really good. Uh, she just needed to control her powers, which she got used to pretty quickly. Uh, I guess something that was introduced in the show was that a lot more regular people in the MCU, like ordinary people, just have powers for some reason now. I think everyone has their own origin story. It's not like everyone's a mutant now or something, but it's kind of weird that having powers is like kind of just a casual thing. But whatever. The next one that we have. Oh yeah, She-Hulk's a red flag. Don't watch it. The next one that we have is Marvel's Werewolf by Night. It's a special presentation. It's the first time they do a special presentation, and what that is basically they take like a minor character or an unintroduced character, and they do like a 1 hour special with them. And Werewolf by Night, I remember enjoying it, but it's probably not important for Doomsday, so red flag. The next one is a very, very big movie. It's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This movie was pretty good, but I actually, like, everyone enjoyed it, but I did not enjoy it. I thought it was kind of bad, but whatever. So with Chadwick Boseman passing away, they either had two options: either recast or pass the mantle of the Black Panther on to someone else. Uh, they ended up doing the second one, which I don't think that was the right decision at the end. I think they should have recast because they wanted to do a lot more with the original Black Panther character before Chadwick Boseman died, and I'm not sure if I vibe with the like restarting of the Black Panther legacy or whatever. When they're advertising this movie, obviously Chadwick Boseman is dead, so they kind of showed a new Black Panther costume, and they never revealed who was in it. So There was like it was uh, a short and petite person, probably a woman. So either Shuri, that is T'Challa's sister, or Nakia, T'Challa's girlfriend. I was hoping that it would be Nakia, but it ended up being Shuri, which I guess makes more sense. Um, and she really lives up to that Black Panther name, so whatever. It's all good. Also, this show has Ironheart in it, Riri Williams. Sorry, this movie has Ironheart in it, and she was basically shoehorned in it to advertise her own show, but her own show didn't end up coming out for a long time because it was stuck in development for way too long. And she built an Iron Man costume, and I remember people in the theater cheering for her. So basically, T'Challa dies at the beginning of this movie due to terminal illness, and Shuri was unable to save him. And everyone's kind of depressed. Queen Ramonda is like just like the ruler of Wakanda now, and she wants to revert back the decisions that like sharing vibranium with the rest of the countries and stuff, because everyone seems like really greedy about the vibranium and stuff, and all the other countries are being weird about it. Uh, I'll get to the other characters later. There's a lot of movies. Shuri is trying to make herself busy by trying to recreate the heart-shaped herb that was burned down by Killmonger in the previous movie. And there's this whole ritual that you're supposed to do where you go unconscious after eating it, but she never got any of her prototypes to work. Um, the movie highlights an underwater civilization that has vibranium, and basically the U.S. government is using this machine to detect vibranium in the ocean, and the people living underwater, the Talokan, get super angry about it. So the leader, Namor, the leader of the Talokan, and the MCU's oldest mutant, unless they do Apocalypse later on, he's the only one that can breathe above ground, unlike the other Talokan who can only breathe below ground. He comes to Wakanda and he threatens them, he gives them an ultimatum. He's like, you have to find this scientist for us. Um, the scientists who made the machine, they get the machine. Otherwise, we're gonna attack Wakanda because you guys, this vibranium is supposed to be as important to you as it is to us, and so, or whatever. And then Shuri finds out that Riri is the one that made the machine. Riri is a student at MIT, and she never intended for the military to use it in the way they did. So, however, the Talokan warriors, they kind of like capture Riri and Shuri, and they try to be peaceful, they try to be normal about they try to like reason with them and stuff, and but however Nakia comes and interrupts the uh, the delegations between Shuri and Namor. Before they leave, however, they manage to steal one of the heart-shaped herbs that Talokan has, and basically the way that he got his powers and the way that his civilization is able to live underwater is that many centuries ago they were being hunted by Spanish conquistadors, I think, and they they found this like similar heart-shaped herb, and they were able to breathe underwater. So they just all moved there to avoid being killed and put into slavery. And in reality, I think they were just hungry for vengeance, and this with the government and stuff, the U.S. government was just an excuse for them to show off their power and whatever. Anyways, now Namor gets really angry because Riri's gone, so he attacks Wakanda. Queen Ramonda dies. Shuri has no family anymore. He only has Nakia, who, by the way, is running a school in Haiti. That's really important for the end of the movie. Um, she manages to reconstruct the Black Panther with heart-shaped herb, and she takes it, and but and like she's supposed to go unconscious and visit the ancestral plane where she hopefully wanted to visit her brother. But what ended up happening is that since this isn't the normal heart-shaped herb, she goes to a different plane and she visits the a person that she hates the most instead of the person she loves the most. And this person happens to be Killmonger from the first movie. That was pretty cool. It was nice to see Michael B. Jordan again, even though he died. He was like one of the coolest Marvel villains ever. Anyway, she wakes up with the new powers of Black Panther. She, with the Wakandan army, they have a fight with the Talokan. And then Shuri and Namor fight, and then she gets the upper hand and forces him to yield. And she's like, we should not be fighting each other. We should just be working with each other, we shouldn't like alliance, whatever. And at the end of the day, everything goes back to normal. Uh, Shuri forces Riri to leave the Iron Man suit that she made in Wakanda. She obviously can't be leaving Wakanda with that. And in the end credits, Shuri visits Haiti to visit Nakia, and Nakia calls her over, and she's like, "Hey, I have this son now. He's actually T'Challa's son, and we didn't want to put him into royalty. We just wanted him to live a normal life, and his name is Toussaint. So why don't you say hi?" And then Toussaint tells her that his Wakandan name is T'Challa. So full circle, yeah, yay! T'Challa's back. We'll be back. Whatever. This movie is a green flag on the rewatch list. It's probably pretty important to know about Black Panther. I think Marvel originally had more plans with Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, but with him dying, they had to do something else. So yeah, the next movie is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and it's a it's a good old fashioned Christmas special. We don't really get things like a Christmas special or a clip show anymore in like English TV shows, because uh, if you're lucky, your show gets 9 episodes a year now because of streaming. And if one of those episodes happens to be a special, it's considered a wasted episode. So yeah, it starts with the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's Christmas time, and they living in a place called Nowhere. If you remember, Nowhere is where Thanos took Gamora in Avengers: Infinity War, and they bought it from the collector. They bought like Nowhere, the planet, and they just have a bunch of refugees living on Nowhere, and they made it into like a home. And Star Lord Peter Quill is the leader of the yeah, I guess the leader of Nowhere. He protects the people and everything. And it's Christmas time, and there's this like half-baked Christmas celebration because the aliens don't really know how to celebrate an Earth holiday, Christmas. So Peter misses Christmas and everything, and Mantis and Drax are like, "Hey, wouldn't it be nice if we like go back to Earth, learn about Christmas, maybe do some stuff, and get some stuff back here, Christmas related, and give Peter a nice holiday and everything." And then they go to Earth, and they're like, there's this montage of them doing a bunch of Earth things, and they're like, the actor Kevin Bacon is a um Peter's hero, right? What if we got him as a gift for Peter? So they kidnap him, and he doesn't want to come initially, but he kind of gets convinced to like stay. There's like this huge party on Nowhere, and then he's like, "Oh, surprise! I'm Kevin Bacon," and then Peter's like, "You brought me a human being as a present on Christmas," and then Mantis is like, "Yeah, isn't that awesome?" And they're like, "We need to get Kevin Bacon back home," but there's a party and they all have fun and everything, and yeah, that's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a red flag. It's not that important, but I would like to highlight the current Guardians of the Galaxy team because it constantly changes. The current team is Star Lord, aka Peter Quill, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Mantis, Drax, Nebula, uh, Kraglin, and a new character, Cosmo the Space Dog, who is a talking dog who has telekinetic powers. Thor from Avengers Endgame left the group for Thor: Love and Thunder, and Gamora. This universe's Gamora is dead. Avengers: Infinity War, but in Avengers Endgame, a different universe version of Gamora comes into this universe, and she does some stuff. I don't know, whatever. She's not the same Gamora as the one that uh, was in the Guardians previously. So the next movie is another stinker. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Ant-Man 3, just gonna call it that. This is the first MCU movie with Kang in it. Also the last MCU movie with Kang in it. Uh, Different versions of Kang appear in Loki season 1, this movie, and Loki season 2. They were trying to set him up as a conqueror. There's supposed to be multiple variants of Kang working together to rule over all the dimensions and stuff. And, all the universes and stuff. And, with the Jonathan Majors situation, unless they have a new actor just be Kang, like return as Kang, then they um, probably, like, if they just have a new actor be Kang, unless they do that, they probably won't touch him again. But I don't think that's possible either, because at the end of this movie, in the post-credit scene, they have a scene with a bunch of different Kangs, and each and every single one of them is played by Jonathan Majors. So it'd be kind of weird to just do a different like Kang played by someone else when all these guys are played by Jonathan Majors. Anyways, Emin is like free now. He finally has time to spend with his daughter. Uh, she becomes like a third Ant-Man. They go into the quantum realm. They beat Kang. They come out. I think Ant-Man was supposed to die at one point, but I think they reshot over it to like make him live and stuff. So yeah, that's Ant-Man 3. That's Ant-Man 3. It's a red flag movie. Don't watch it. Uh, so I want to like recap on the stuff that I talked about. I think a lot of people drop the MCU at this point, kind of. People were initially wanted to watch a lot of MCU stuff because of Endgame. They wanted more stuff, but it was noticed that after a while, a lot of the movies were kind of bad. The CGI that they used was kind of rushed, and it looked bad in some parts. They made so many different shows, and none of them had like a clear direction. Like some shows were like Multiverse, and some were like street level, and some were like cosmic. And it's like, this isn't a comic book. This is like, you're trying to tell like a single narrative, right? So you can't be focusing on different things. That's why we had different studios. I mean, it's not why we had different studios making different Marvel movies for that purpose. Although everyone just tried to copy what Disney was doing. Um, People came back for movies like Spider-Man and Black Panther, but no one wanted to take a chance on a new show like Echo or Miss Marvel or anything made by Marvel Animation. I guess I think those are successful enough to keep making those though. In in hindsight, I don't think it's fair to have a general audience member watch all these shows that they made just to understand Avengers Doomsday. Uh, I don't think that doing that was good. It's like I could apply that same logic to Daredevil Born Again. It's like, yeah, I think you could watch Daredevil Born Again without watching any of the previous shows, but you're missing out a lot if you don't do your homework. It got to a point where even actually good movies like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Thunderbolts uh, kind of failed to meet expectations, and there were bad movies before Endgame too, but the thing is, there weren't as many, and they were usually followed up by a good movie, and not more bad movies. Like I think I went through like three bad stuff like back to back, and it was just like that for a while. Um, for it was like that for a good while in the post Endgame era. So a lot of people gave up, and I have to give a lot of these movies red or yellow flags because like it's not fair to ask you to watch all this stuff because obviously you don't have the same interest that I do um, about all these movies and stuff. I mean, personally, you couldn't pay me to watch Secret Invasion again. Um, yeah, so the next movie is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Uh, Guardians it's a good movie, but and I give it a green flag on the rewatch list, but I don't think anything really happens in it. I'll just summarize the stuff that does happen in it. So Gamora, the Ultimate Universe Gamora, is running a crime syndicate thing, and Peter comes to terms with the fact that this is not the same Gamora that he fell in love with, and the one he loved is dead, and he just has to like understand that fact, I guess. Star-Lord kind of takes a backseat for this movie. Rocket Raccoon is kind of like more of a main character, and at the end, he kind of like leaves. He wants to go see his other remaining family member. Oh yeah, I forgot. At the end of the Christmas special, Mantis tells Star-Lord that uh, she is probably his sister because Ego may probably be his father, and he's like, "Oh, this is the best Christmas present ever," and yeah, that was like a good special. Uh, Basically, he wants to go visit his other family member, who may or may not be alive, and that's his mom's dad, his grandfather, and he actually recognizes them after all these years, and that happens at the end of the movie. I think Drax and Mantis also leave the team. They don't have anything romantic going on between them, but they also leave for some reason. And Adam Warlock joins. Adam Warlock's basically a child in an adult body. That's the way he is written. He lost his people, his mom, I think. So he just joins the Guardians. So once again, the new Guardians of the Galaxy team is Rocket Raccoon, who's the new leader, Groot, Adam Warlock, Kraglin, Cosmo, and one of the little girls from nowhere. Uh, Green flag. I think it's important to watch this movie. The next movie is Secret Invasion. Oh god, we have three back-to-back speakers again. Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion is pretty problematic for the MCU. I talked about these shape-shifting Skrulls, and apparently, a good number of people that were in the MCU were Skrulls for a pretty long time, and so like post-endgame they became Skrulls, I think, and I'm not sure how long actually a lot of them were Skrulls, but it's kind of problematic that Secret Invasion is supposed to be a much bigger deal in the comics, but they kind of just butchered it with this really bad show. Um, and now we don't know how long a lot of these people have been Skrulls. Also, Maria Hill dies for anyone who cares. I'm gonna read off the Wikipedia again. Nick Fury works with Talos, a shape-shifting alien Skrull, to uncover a conspiracy by a group of renegade Skrulls led by Gravik, who plans to gain control of the Earth by posing as different humans around the world. Yeah, that's the extent I'm willing to go with Secret Invasion because it was pretty bad. Red flag, don't watch. The next movie is The Marvels. Yeah, this movie. What? There's a lot of problems with this movie. The main characters are Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. Uh, God, what happened in Miss? Look, dude, just watch it if you want to, because I don't think it really matters for the MCU. I will say that at the end of the movie, Monica Rambeau gets teleported into a different dimension, and she wakes up and she's staring at Beast from the X-Men in a different universe. I can't even talk about this movie. I don't even. Whatever, man. I'm just moving on. Watch it if you want, whatever. Uh, Echo. Echo is the next thing. So I've been doing all these summaries in chronological order, but with Echo, I'm actually gonna move it to the when I talk about Daredevil Born Again. So I'm just gonna move on to the next one. The next one is Deadpool and Wolverine. So I'm sure everyone watched Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, I love Deadpool and Wolverine because it was the return of Deadpool after. I don't know why they had to wait so long to make another. Yeah, the reason why they had to wait so long to make a Deadpool movie was because Disney was buying Fox. So, I thought they were just gonna put Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in the MCU, and then create a new team of X-Men. Just forget about everything that happened. But instead, what happened is that like a lot of people watched the Fox movies. And there were problems with it, but like people enjoyed them. So they kind of like they with this movie they kind of like and Doomsday, I think they're kind of like preserving the legacy of the X-Men, the characters that we watched, and they actually let them get to play their characters, and they get let to uh, Cyclops gets to be an actual leader. The Fantastic Four gets to be an actual good movie, and maybe we get to see the X-Men be an actual family in live action. I don't need to summarize this movie much. It's a Deadpool movie. It's funny, it's heartfelt, and it has Hugh Jackman Wolverine. And I heard that he takes his shirt off in the movie, so green flag. The next show is Agatha All Along. I don't think anyone heard of this show, which is a shame because it's actually good. It's probably not important for Doomsday, but it serves as a sequel to WandaVision for Agatha. Uh, she just goes on her own adventure, and Billy Maximoff, Wanda's son, her spirit comes and possesses this guy, and he becomes uh, the new Billy Maximoff. I don't know. It's messy. The story is messy, and I'd be doing an injustice by presenting it to you, but it's not important for Doomsday. Uh, I mean, it's a red flag. But you do get to see Catherine Hahn kiss Aubrey Plaza, so maybe green flag, yeah. No, red flag. Don't watch this for Doomsday. The next movie is Captain America 4, Captain America Brave New World. It's an interesting movie. A lot of people didn't like it, but I personally loved it. I thought it was a great movie. Obviously, Steve Rogers isn't Captain America anymore, and yeah, Steve Rogers is Captain America. I don't think there's anyone coming close to uh, Steve Rogers. So it serves as a sequel for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it also serves as a sequel for the Incredible Hulk movie all the way back then. Um, so in Eternals, what happens is that the Eternals prevent the birth of a Celestial, and a Celestial is a cosmic being that resides in planets, and when it's ready to be born, it bursts out of the planet's core, destroying the planet, obviously. And they paused the birth of the Celestial from Earth by turning it into adamantium. It's turned inside out into adamantium, suffocating and killing it, if that's possible, I guess. So now there's this just giant celestial, sorry, giant adamantium like resource that all the countries kind of want now. And adamantium is the same stuff that is the same metal that Wolverine's claws are made out of. It's the same material that was used to reconstruct Bullseye's backbone in Daredevil. Although back then they didn't have the rights for adamantium, so they called it technetium, I think. Technetium, something, I don't know. So anyway, General Ross, the general from the Incredible Hulk movie, is now the president of the United States. He holds a summit with all the world's leaders and invites the new Captain America, Sam Wilson, his partner, who I can't pronounce his name, Torres, and Isaiah Bradley. Guess Isaiah Bradley was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was a victim of illegal super soldier experiments conducted by the government, but he kind of receives compensation at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so that's good. Obviously, he doesn't trust the government. He doesn't want to come, but to the summit. But he makes Sam makes him come, and over at the summit, the president talks with other world nations about his plan to equally share the adamantium on Celestial Island, is what they're calling it, and they want like a treaty over the fair use of the mining operation. So very lofty stuff. I don't think that would happen in today's world. I think US would just try and take everything for themselves. And then suddenly during this meeting, their song plays, and a lot of the Secret Service agents and Isaiah Bradley go rogue, and they try to shoot at all the delegates and the president. And obviously, this gets to him getting arrested, which obviously he hates. He already very skeptical of the government. Now Isaiah's arrested, so Sam and Wilson go out and investigate. So now there's this character from the Incredible Hulk movie called the Leader. He is a gamma radiation mutated person. He got his powers of advanced intelligence. He has a really big green head. He got those powers by being exposed to Hulk's blood when he was fighting with the Abomination in Harlem. His transformation to the Leader, with his head changing and everything, happened in the Hulk movie as a cliffhanger, probably for another Hulk movie. But what happened is legally they can't make another Hulk movie because they don't own the distribution rights. Universal does. So that plot thread ended up being unanswered for a long time until this movie, Captain America Brave New World. So Sam and Torres find out that Ross imprisoned the Leader at a place called Camp Echo 1. He wanted to use his super smart brain for research purposes and to also secure him his presidency. He's a general, so he gets to do legal stuff like that. They also find out that he was the one that was responsible for the attack on the White House. He was able to play the music and mind control people. So they go back to they go back to the president and tell him what's going on. And, Ross tells him that I have heart disease, I have heart failure, I take these pills. He makes them for me. No other doctor can cure them. And the situations with Japan and the US are kind of escalating, and both of them are racing towards Celestial Island to try and get access to the adamantium resource. Obviously, there's some miscommunication going on, and that gets both sides really angry at each other. And then they're kind of at a standoff with each other in the ocean at Celestial Island, and the same music plays, and pilots from both sides, they get launched and into the air and start shooting at each other. So Sam and Torres quickly managed to prevent war and everything by taking the planes off course, and thankfully, and in that havoc, the Leader actually manages to come in contact with the president, and he says some really hurtful things, and he makes the president really angry. He even makes him a little red. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Captain America and the new Falcon manage to de-escalate this situation, but Torres gets injured in the process. Sam learns that the pills that the Leader's been making have been laced with gamma radiation, and Leader's plan was to, at the right moment, there'll be enough gamma radiation in his body, just make him angry like you'd make the Hulk angry, and he unleashes the monster in front of the whole world as President of the United States, as revenge for imprisoning him and stuff. So there's this press conference at the White House. The Leader takes over the speaker. He says more hurtful things. The president turns into the Red Hulk. He's super angry and stuff. Captain America fights him and makes him pump to reason. He turns back into General Ross and gets imprisoned at the raft detainment facility. Also, there's a cameo with Betty Ross, the love interest from the Incredible Hulk movie. She's General Ross's daughter. And Isaiah gets cleared from jail. That's great. Uh, I think the leader dies. I'm not sure if I remember properly. But this movie's a green flag because if you're not watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think you should at least watch this one. The next The next show is one that's very. I like this one a lot, but honestly, you can. Uh, the next show is Daredevil Born Again, and I really like this show, and I like all the Defenders and everything, the Netflix shows and everything. But I think it's a red flag for the rewatch for Avengers Doomsday. So if you'd like to, you can skip this section because these characters are not probably not going to be involved in Doomsday. But for those that are curious, and thank you for sticking around for this part, Daredevil Born Again is a continuation of the Netflix series, the Netflix show. And I think the original plan was for it to be a reboot. They used Daredevil and Kingpin, and then they just forget about everyone else. They just have a bunch of new characters. And that idea kind of got scrapped. They ran with it in some parts, but they had to do a bunch of reshoots because apparently pre reshoot, a lot of the stuff was like bad and everything. But yeah, now it's a true continuation to the original Daredevil show. It's really good because I think when Disney announced their own streaming service, obviously they can't really be producing their competitors' shows anymore, so they canceled all the Marvel Netflix shows. And there were some really good ones in there. Even like Iron Fist, apparently, a show that was bad was like kind of like realizing that it wasn't being written properly, and towards the end they kind of like fixed a lot of stuff. But then all the Netflix shows got canceled, I think. With Daredevil specifically, the fans. I mean, it had a good ending, but the fans wanted to see it continued, and I believe, you know, if Disney wasn't able to pick it up, you know, unfortunately they did, and we have a really good Daredevil show again. But with this decision, we get to see the Punisher and Spider-Man brand new day. The Punisher is my favorite Marvel character. I'm not gonna summarize Daredevil Born Again because I think you should just watch it. Um, but the Netflix shows, they're grounded, they're dark, they're very gory. They don't have that sanitized Marvel dialogue. The characters are written, they're not written to like fill a template. They're like very unique characters. A lot of them are like morally ambiguous, and you watch these shows and you're like, there's no way this is part of the same universe uh, that Iron Man is in. That like you have the Guardians in a talking raccoon, and then you have the Punisher. There's no way this is in the same universe, but they are, and there's some really good stories that have come out of Netflix Marvel, and now they get to be they get to be continued with even better budgets and even less restrictions because there were a lot of restrictions happening with the Netflix shows. Um, so, if the only thing that you're interested in is Daredevil, then you can just watch Daredevil season 1, season 2, watch the Defenders in between, then Daredevil season 3. You can watch Echo because that's important for Born Again. Then you can watch the 2 seasons of Born Again. Um, you can even watch the Daredevil episode in She-Hulk if you want to. It's not that important. Um, the other shows are Jessica Jones, Punisher, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. So those are the Defenders shows. If you want to factor in every show and get the full Defenders experience, I'll leave it in the description below, like the order to watch them. But personally, I just watched all the shows all at once, like season 1, season 2, season 3. I didn't like go in between and stuff. It's a mistake, but whatever. I mean, like whatever. Yeah. There's also another show. Also, I personally skipped out on Iron Fist, and I couldn't finish Luke Cage because I thought it was pretty bad. I got through the half of second season and I just stopped watching it. There's also this other show called Agents of Shield. It has like 10 seasons, I think, and the events of the shows are over. I think everyone gets an ending, and it's not part of the Defenders, but it's still canon to the MCU. It's a red flag again. You don't need to watch it. However, this is the only Netflix show with a Stan Lee cameo, so I guess yeah. Also, Marvel made a few other shows. They weren't exclusive to Netflix. They also went to TV. These shows are The Runaways, Marvel's Inhumans, and Cloak and Dagger. And I don't think these shows are canon to the MCU, so you can just like not watch them at all. But the actor for Black Bolt in the Inhumans, he actually makes a return in the Illuminati for Doctor Strange too. So yeah. Uh, Next movie, and actually I think it's the last movie. No, it's not the last movie. The next movie we have is the Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was a really good movie, but I don't think a lot of people watched it, unfortunately. So, do you remember Valentina de Fontaine? She goes around like recruiting people. So her group is in kind of like a lot of trouble. Ox Group. It's basically like a super shady organization, and they have a bunch of mercenaries working for them, doing hits for them. And she's kind of acting under U.S. government legal jurisdiction, but she's come under fire and under legal trouble and everything, and she has to like get rid of all her evidence. So she goes to Yelena and she's like, "Look, I need you to do this thing for me." She disguises it as an operation, and it's like, "You need to destroy this research facility that is like part of our enemies or whatever." And she goes there and she meets a bunch of other people. John Walker from Falcon and Winter Soldier, the fake Captain America. She meets Ava Starr, Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man 2. And they also meet this guy named Bob. Bob is just in the research facility. He doesn't know how he got there, but when he comes in contact with them, he kind of temporarily puts them in this space with recreations of their worst memories and stuff, which is kind of weird, but whatever. And they all meet, and there's like this. They're like, I was supposed to come and destroy this research facility and kill whoever was inside, and then someone else is like, no, I was supposed to do that, and then she's like, Yelena's like, okay, so obviously we've been set up, by who? And then the research facility starts doing a self-destruct sequence. They all manage to escape, thankfully. And then it cuts to Bucky, who's working the politics game. He's trying to get more information about Ox Group and everything, and try to get them to shut down. Valentina learns that the group actually survives, and they send like Ox Group soldiers to try and kill them. Um, we find out that Bob was a volunteer at the Sentry trials created by Ox Group. They were trying to create like a super powerful dude, and they go to the site and try to capture everyone, but Bob allows them all to escape by taking the fire. He doesn't get hurt for some reason. Um, and then Bob is transported to the new Avengers Tower, which is bought by Fontaine. It's called the Watchtower now. And she explains him the purpose of the trial, and then asks him to be the sentry, and he's like, oh, whatever, cool. And then the group, Yelena, John, and Ava, are just out in the desert, and they try to get to safety. And Yelena's father, Alexei, the Red Guardian, rushes out because she heard that there was going to be a self-destruct sequence, they're all going to die and whatever, and he comes to save them. Obviously, he's too late, but he still managed to get them out of the desert. Anyways, they meet Bucky, they join them, they all go to Avengers Tower and then DeFontaine introduces the crew to the new Sentry, which is Bob in a gold costume. She orders them to she orders Bob to take them down. So Bob overpowers all the Thunderbolts. That's their team name now. He overpowers the Thunderbolts pretty easily. And then Valentina's like, okay, now I killed them. And then Bob's like, no, I don't want to kill them. They're my friends. They're not going to hurt me or anything. And then And then Valentina gets mad and she activates a failsafe that was supposed to override his thought and like make him like kill them. But Bob managed to override that override, and he gets super angry, and Bob has like a bunch of health issues. So what ends up happening is that since he's super powerful and now he's super angry, he lets out a physical manifestation of his um what was it? He said I'm trying to find it. A physical manifestation of his self-destructive behavior, and it's called Void. It's like this dark being. It's enveloping the entire New York City in darkness, and they realize that the only way to get rid of Void is to like go inside Bob and like uh, motivate him from within. So like a therapy session. So yeah, that happens. They all motivate him, and then like Void is dead, and then the New York goes back to normal, and Yelena goes back out to try and slime out Valentina, but she manages to quickly organize a press conference, and she's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you your new Avengers?" And then they're all kind of the Thunderbolts are all kind of confused, but then they adjust to it pretty quickly. It was basically Valentina trying to save herself, and Yelena tells Valentina like, "We own you now." So yeah, those are the new Avengers. At the end of the movie, they changed the title from Thunderbolts to New Avengers. So the new Avengers are now the White Widow, aka Elena Belova, I think that's how you say it. U.S. Agent, aka John Walker, Ghost, aka Ava Starr, the Winter Soldier, aka James Buchanan Barnes, the Red Guardian, aka Alexei Shostakar, and Bob, who they're all afraid of letting him use his powers again because they're afraid the void will come out. He's just happy to be there though. And the post credits, they're all hanging out in Avengers Tower, and they see that there's this foreign airship that entered the airspace, and they zoom in, and on the thing, it's the Fantastic Four, their logo, which is it's pretty interesting because Fantastic Four is not in the MCU. It's obviously from a different universe, so we got to see what happens, right? Green flag on the rewatch scale. You should probably watch it. I think at least some of the characters will be important for Doomsday. The next show we have is Ironheart, and Ironheart they just released this one out of obligation, because it was stuck in like development for a really long time. Uh, it's a red flag, honestly. It's probably not very important, but Ironheart, like Riri Williams, is as smart as Tony Stark. She's in MIT, but she gets kicked out, and she's like, "Well, I'm taking the Iron Man suit that I made with me." So she takes the Ironheart suit, and she's like, "Well, I need money to make this suit now." And this gang member approaches her. His name is the Hood. He's not a very cool dude. He has some powers that are given to him by his hood, and he's like, and then they go into the backstory and everything. The Hood was given by Mephisto, a devil. Basically, at the end of the show, Hood and Riri get into a fight. She takes the cloak off of him, and then Mephisto comes and she's like, "I can give you the same powers as I give this guy," and yeah, that's Ironheart. The easiest way I can put it. It's the goal was to have a young Avengers team with Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Ironheart, maybe Spider-Man, but obviously that ended up not happening. Um, but yeah, red flag. Don't watch Ironheart. I don't think you need to. All right, so we're coming up on the last few things that we have here. The last movie that we have is Fantastic Four, the first steps. Before I begin talking about this movie, John Krasinski should have been a Reed Richards. It shouldn't have been Pedro Pascal. It should have been Jim, bro. Anyways, the movie is unique in that it takes place in another universe. It doesn't take place in the MCU. they go over the origins of the Fantastic Four pretty quickly. It's like it's assumed you watch the movie. You have Reed Richards who has stretchy powers. I mean, they all go to space and for a science project. They come back with powers. Reed Richards has stretchy powers. Mr. Fantastic. Invisible Woman, aka Sue Storm, has the powers of invisibility and telekinesis. Johnny Storm, her brother, has the power to engulf himself in flames, fly, and shoot fire from his hands. Um, and the the Thing, aka Ben Grimm, becomes a super huge, super strong, rock-like creature, and he's kind of like a Hulk without the anger issues, but he has obviously has body issues because his whole body's made of rocks now. You already know this if you watch the movies. I think they have a highlight reel of them helping out people and like protecting the community and advancing science and stuff. Sue gets pregnant and they announce it to the world. They're pretty famous and everything. They're like celebrity scientists with superpowers. So, um, like several months later, Sue is very pregnant, and then the Silver Surfer comes in and she's like, "Your world's been marked for destruction." So, destruction by Galactus. And Reed verifies this. He like notices a pattern of disappearing planets. And is like, "Well, this is a problem." So they use their advanced technology to go to Galactus's ship, and they're like finding out like, "Hey, can you not do that? Like maybe go to a different planet without life or something." And she's like, "No, I want your planet." But then he notices Sue's pregnant. The fact that Sue's pregnant. He looks inside and he's like, "That baby has immense cosmic power. If it can replace my hunger, I've been eating planets for so long, but I can finally rest if you give that baby to me." So he's like, "If you give that baby to me, I won't eat the Earth." And then obviously they say no and they escape. And then Sue gives birth to Franklin in space. They come back to Earth, they tell about the deal, and everyone gets kind of mad that Sue didn't give the baby to Galactus. Like everything could have been all right if they didn't. So like preparations begin for Galactus's arrival. So Johnny Storm, Human Torch, begins to decipher Silver Surfer's language. When they intercept the transmission from her home planet, it survived Galactus's attack, and they want to like figure out how. He wants to figure out how. Uh, Silver Surfer, Sue Storm makes the announcement that they're not gonna give the baby away, and they're gonna like protect Earth. She announces like a fail-safe kind of mechanism where if they're not able to, um, um, like not able to take care of Galactus, they're making like teleportation bridges, and if around the world, and if they turn it on with the help of all the nation's power, they can teleport the planet entirely away from Galactus into a different solar system. So that was the original plan. But then Silver Surfer comes and begins to destroy all of them one by one. Johnny prevents her from destroying the last one. Um, and he does this by speaking her language. Uh, Silver Surfer reveals her name as Shalabal, and she comes from a planet, and then like she comes from the planet that avoided being consumed by Galactus, because she's like, "Okay, if you don't consume my planet, I will be your herald. I will." I don't know what a herald does, but I don't know, protects Galactus maybe. I don't know, but this saves her planet. And then Silver Surfer's like, "I cannot help you guys. I cannot defy Galactus to whatever." Throughout this movie, there's like a romantic tension between Johnny and Silver Surfer. Yeah. So what ends up happening is there's only one teleporter left. So they're like, he wants Franklin, right? So we use him as bait, like bait as in he sits in the middle of the teleporter, Franklin, and like Galactus, if he notices Franklin, he won't eat the Earth immediately, right? He'll try to come and get Franklin. And he's like, if we use Franklin as bait, we can move him towards the teleporter and hopefully teleport him very far away from the Earth. And then when he comes back again, he'll be someone else's problem, whatever. So they anyways, there's a big fight, and the teleporter works and stuff, and uh, Sue was uses the last of her power to push Galactus through the portal, but there's still and she dies. She uses so much power that she dies, and then it's like super sad and everything. But Galactus still shows signs of trying to escape the portal. So what happens is he's like, tell Franklin about his uncle Johnny or whatever, and then he goes and like tries to push Galactus through the portal, but then Silver Surfer comes and pushes Johnny out of the way, and then uses her power to push Galactus through the portal, sacrificing herself, and then they all go around Sue's dead body and they mourn her, and they put the baby on top of Sue, and for some reason her eyes begin glowing and she gets revived. The baby has immense cosmic power. He's a superhero. Yeah. So they rebrand as the Fantastic Five. Go back to being celebrity scientists and everything. So yeah, this is there's no post credit scene. Oh wait, there is a post credit scene. It's the most important post credit scene in all of the MCU, I think. What happens is that Sue is playing with Franklin in the living room, and she goes away to get a book or something, and she comes back, and Franklin is reaching out his hand towards a man in metal armor and a green cape with a green cloak, basically. Doctor Doom. So Franklin is like reaching out towards Doctor Doom. We all know who Doctor Doom is. I say this movie is a green flag. I think it's the only required movie for Avengers Endgame. Sorry, Avengers Doomsday. So we have two more things left. Uh, Wonder Man. Wonder Man is a really interesting show. It's not about superheroes at all. It's just about a regular dude with powers. He's a struggling actor. But he's about to get a really good role. The thing is, Hollywood in the MCU doesn't let people with superpowers be actors in movies and TV shows because they want to avoid like any accidents in the workplace. If you watch The Boys, you know what I'm talking about. Uh, Wonder Man is probably the single best TV show that Marvel has made under the Disney Plus, which is like crazy. It's because it's better than Daredevil, I'd say. But it's he's Wonder Man. It's not going to be in Doomsday, so you can watch it. It's really good, but it's a red flag for Doomsday. Oh my god, this has been going on for so long, but the last one is Punisher One Last Kill. It is a special presentation with my favorite Marvel character, the Punisher. And I will not be covering Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm just going to end it with this one because there's nothing else, I think, between Brand New Day and Doomsday, so why spoil anything? The Punisher One Last Kill, obviously the Punisher and Spider-Man, but it's meant for new fans of Daredevil and everything, and like obviously Punisher is gonna be in Spider-Man, so it's like a summary of the Punisher's character for those that don't know anything about the Punisher. Obviously, it didn't do much for me as a fan of the Punisher because like I already know about him and everything. It's just a heavy action scene with the Punisher, and obviously John Bernthal as the Punisher is like one of the greatest castings ever. So it was nice to see him in action again. But yeah, the Punisher is not a character. He's a defender character. He's not going to be important for Doomsday. But if you are watching Spider-Man Brand New Day and you don't know anything about the Punisher, this is the greenest flag that you're gonna get for Spider-Man Brand New Day. If all you care about is Doomsday, then you don't need to watch this. But if you're watching Brand New Day, I'd highly recommend watching Punisher One Last Kill. And that is everything. That is 32 shows and movies in 2 hours for Avengers Doomsday. I didn't want to make another video after my previous one. I just wanted that to be like a one-off thing. And then Doomsday is coming up, and I was on YouTube and I saw like a recap for all the movies that they did post Endgame. And the thing is that they used AI to make that, and obviously I got pretty mad. And well, I'm like, well, I have a channel now. Why don't I just explain it? And that way, like no AI was used, and you know, yeah. I I could have talked about a lot of other things, like I could have talked about Sylvie, the Djinn, the Death Dealer. I could have went more into the Hood and stuff. I could have talked about the Witch's Road. What else? I could have talked about the Hand there in Spider Man. Could have talked about a bunch of other things, but I I try to make this as simple as I could. So I had to leave out a bunch of things. Um, I mean, even there was a lot of threads that they Marvel introduced that ended up just going nowhere. So it's like even I forgot about a lot of them. So I had to like open up plot synopsis and write them down. I wanted to do it off the wall, like whatever I remembered, but it ended up being like I couldn't remember much at all. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you have any questions, just leave a comment, and I'll try to answer any of the MCU related questions that you have. Uh, Support physical games. Please watch my first video, and I'll maybe see you in the next one. So, peace.